What's going on, everybody? This is the game I admittedly took too long to talk about, but I'm pretty excited to see. It's Star Wars Zero Company that's going to be coming out sometime in 2026. It's supposed to be made by the developers, not the actual studio, but people that worked on the updated XCOM game and XCOM 2. So it should be pretty exciting. This is going to be the company's first game, though. The company is BitReactor, and they're being supported by ReSpawn and LucasFilms. So it's all kind of coming together to make this Star Wars Zero Company game. So in this introduction, it says, "Hey everyone, we're excited to finally tell you about Star Wars Zero Company, which was just revealed at Star Wars Celebration Japan this weekend. Set during the Clone Wars, the game will see players embark on a turn-based tactics campaign with deep strategy and gripping Star Wars storytelling. And this blog will recap all the details you may have missed and share insights from our panel, which featured veteran genre talent from lead developer BitReactor, as well as from close collaborators as both Respawn Entertainment and Lucasfilm Games. The reveal panel at Star Wars Celebration Japan provided so many compelling insights into our team and game, including a trailer, a glimpse of our gameplay, and introductions for just a few of the members you can have in Zero Company: Hawks, Cly, Luco, Trick, and Teleria. On the panel, we heard from Greg Forch, CEO and creative director at BitReactor; Aaron Contreras, narrative director at BitReactor; Jim Vasella, senior producer at Respawn; and Orion Kellogg, executive producer at Lucasfilm Games; and Kelsey Sharp, creative executive at Lucasfilm. Together, they discussed the game's origins, their overall vision for Zero Company, an overview of the story, and the importance of picking the perfect setting for the game in the Clone Wars. BitReactor has a fresh take on turn-based tactics games on the Clone Wars stories you are used to seeing. So check out the full panel here, and I'll have a link to that down in the description and the I'm gonna say in the chat, in the comments. So it says, in the game's original story, you will play as Hawks, a disgraced Republic officer who's now leading Zero Company through a war you don't want to see, or a war you don't see, the one fought in the shadows, the war beneath the war. An unconventional outfit of professionals for hire hailing from across the galaxy. The members of Zero Company span multiple classic Star Wars archetypes, ranging from astromechs to Jedi. So what's interesting here is you can have a squad of the astromechs. Those are like the bots, like R2D2, and they mentioned that you could do that. Don't know how useful that'll be, but you can have various different archetypes there, I guess, in classes. Something that's kind of interesting too is they're saying like a shadows war fought in the shadows. It kind of reminds me of the Shadows of the Empire type game. So you're kind of playing like this a rogue group, pretty much. There's kind of the back alley stuff, the smugglers and the hitmen, bounty hunters, and stuff. All those people that's doing stuff in the background. So this is unlikely. This unlikely ensemble includes a surprising combination of natural teammates and uneasy allies, but they will have to set aside their differences to stop a new threat that, if left unchecked, would consume the galaxy. The company is full of distinct characters we're sure you guys are going to love, but be aware there will be permadeath and limited saves on higher difficulties. To keep them alive and succeed on the battlefield, you'll need to develop deep strategies that fully utilize your characters, their abilities, and the terrain. So it's kind of interesting if all these characters have characters, if all of these characters have personalities and backstories and dialogue, and then they die, and then that's it. But I wonder what the game over check is, because it is a story being told and there is a main character that you play as. And it seems to be main characters that already have names. So do those named characters also die, or is it just the people that you add to your party to make the largest mission group that die and it's permadeath, which would be normal? Some of the combat synergies you'll need to employ to succeed will use abilities that you can only get in Star Wars, like using the Force to move the enemy out of cover into a squad mate's range to render them vulnerable to attack, or you can have a clone trooper providing cover fire while an astromech jettisons a healing back to stem to a wounded squad mate. The boots on the ground tone of the Clone Wars will be reflected in Zero Company, allowing you to feel both the personal stakes of the soldiers you command as well as the weight of strategic decisions that have galactic implications. The Clone Wars period also provides a wide range of potential combat scenarios and locations, which means you could find yourself infiltrating a separatist base in one mission and raiding a pirate outpost in another, which is the same for most of the XCOM tactical type games where the missions take place in different areas. Zero Company will not only touch on the elements that make this period so beloved by many fans, it will also take a previously unseen angle on the conflict by centering the vital work on those operating in secrecy. We have some screenshots here on the screen that show Clone Trooper. That show the UI kind of sort of like where you select your actions. So I think it's kind of interesting. They're going with that Star Wars like droid panel look. It has somebody doing the force push. This is one of the main characters. I think this is the Telleria. This is something they show in the trailer. Guy here throws the grenade. The bounty hunter throws a grenade and blows up. A lot of droid fighting going on here, but it is the Clone Wars. So it says, additionally, Hawks and the different squad members of Zero Company are customizable. Their voices, appearances, classes, names, and even your Astromech's paint job can be tailored to your preferences. Alongside our authored heroes, you will also be able to create your own squad members, choosing their appearance, class, outfit, and abilities. As you send squad members on missions together, their bonds will improve, which affects other parts of your playthrough, resulting in a different experience for each player. Between missions, you will return to your home base, the Den. Here you'll have the ability to socialize and catch up with your squad, as well as recruit, customize, and outfit your new operators, allowing you to unlock new skills and abilities for the company. Throughout the game, you'll upgrade this space to make it fit your playstyle needs for Zero Company. Additionally, from the Den, you'll access the in-game galaxy map. It's the largest and most interactive yet in a Star Wars game, and it's where players will see just how their choices are impacting the galaxy. That's pretty interesting that they put in a Star Wars game. I'm not really sure how many galaxy maps that we can interact with in Star Wars games from the many that I played. So that's kind of a little interesting put in there. Like, yeah, okay. Now, if they said the largest and most interactive in a tactical game, that would be a different brag, I think, than in a Star Wars game. The recruit, customize, and offer your new operators is kind of typical and standard. I'm kind of curious to see how they're doing the bond part. I didn't play XCOM 2, so I think, if I'm not mistaken, that they had some kind of like synergy system going on in there, but I could be mistaken. If you play XCOM 2, let me know if they did like a synergy system with the recruits in XCOM 2 that you use as like the bond. Like the longer your recruits are together, the more bravery or stronger they get. It says, while we can't wait for you to meet and fall in love with our new characters, you can also expect appearances from some fan favorites. Just imagine who might be around the corner. We can also confirm that as you progress, you'll visit iconic locations through the galaxy, like Solo's Vandor and Mapuzo from the Disney Plus original series, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Star Wars Zero Company will launch in 2026, and you can wish list Star Wars Zero Company on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X. We're going to go back to working on the game for now, so you won't be hearing from us for a bit, but are excited to share more when we are ready. Until next time, Star Wars Zero Company community team. If we go back to like, and I don't want to bring it back again, but we talk about people working in the shadows, and it always makes you think of Dash Rendar and Shadows of the Empire. You kind of had an idea of what was going on around the time it took place during The Empire Strikes Back in that period. And so you would hear calls on the radio that talked about stuff that happened in that movie and how it kind of relayed to what you were doing now. And so I kind of hope they do something like that, at least, where you see the effects of what you have going on affect things that happened in the story. Like maybe they happened in the shadows, you didn't know that's what they were doing, or that's why they did it. Because there's always like a lot of information that people get, or things that happen in the movies in the background that they're just like, that just happened. We just had somebody take care of that for us. You didn't see it happen, but just trust us that we did it. And so it would be kind of cool to see like, oh, we got this information on the spies or the runners told us the information on the base, and it was actually the Zero Company that told them the information. So it'd be kind of cool to see that. There's another thing here from the press release they had, where they talked about it. They go a little bit more into some of the detail about what they want to talk about with the typo. It says, our vision for Star Wars Zero Company is grounded in gameplay design pillars that weave in the immersive Star Wars galaxy with engaging turn-based tactics gameplay, said Greg Forks, CEO of creative director at BitReactor. It's our aim to deliver a game with an original Star Wars story from the Clone Wars era that has meaningful outcomes from player choices and deep turn-based tactical combat with an approachable and cinematic presentation. So that kind of also makes me think of, like, I know they didn't make it, but Gears Tactics comes to mind because Gears Tactics had a lot of cinematic stuff going on, but it also was more of a straightforward game, and I kind of wonder if that's going to be what it's like 240 Company. I'm sure it's going to have like a straightforward campaign, and then with that in mind, how long will it be? At LucasFilms Game, we're huge Tactics fans, and we have wanted to make a game like this for a long time, said Douglas Riley, GM and VP of Lucas Games. The best Tactics games are all about meaningful choices, and we're confident that we have chosen the right squad and BitReactor to deliver a compelling and innovative title that is authentic to Star Wars. In Star Wars Zero Company, players will embark on a campaign of tactical operations and investigations across the galaxy, develop a base of operations. We're thinking like base building, similar to XCOM, gather intelligence through a network of informants, have freedom to create and customize their own squad with Star Wars characters. And then it says Hawk's appearance and combat class can be customized. A lot of the same things that we just kind of went over. It says Big Company was created by longtime strategy game developers as an independent developer first game studio, creating and perfecting experiences that blend game design, art, and technology with a passion for making something great. The talented team is composed of some of the minds behind decorated titles like XCOM, Civilization, Gears of War, Elder Scrolls Online, and more. That definitely sounds like more of a definite press blurb. It is a press release, but created by longtime strategy game developers as an independent developer first game studio, creating and perfecting experiences that blend game design. Is just very, very corporate sounding, I guess. It's like when somebody asks you, I don't know, like what kind of jobs you guys work at, but they're like, what's your quality control policy? And it's like something, a sentence full of buzzwords and keywords. That's what it reminded me of. But yeah, this, I'm pretty excited to try it out though when it comes out. I do have like questions, not necessarily concerns. I'm just kind of curious of how it's all going to work. They just kind of gave us the basic overview of kind of the basics of how tactical games work for the most part in today's age since XCOM came out, and it didn't really tell us anything that kind of like made it more unique aside from having the party of astromechs. Maybe playing a main character, but if the main character can die and you can still go on, then that would be different because now you're playing a game without the main character of the game, which would be kind of cool. But I don't think that's going to be the case for it because they put that emphasis on making sure that these characters had names. And even though you can change their appearance and combat class, it's like playing Shepard. Like you can change Shepard's appearance and combat class in Mass Effect, but it's still Commander Shepard. So I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do with that. Bonds is kind of interesting. I think we've seen that before, but that might be the one thing that is interesting. Bonds between them to unlock powerful combat synergies. And it kind of makes me think of like Chrono Trigger. But when you play with the players, you know, when you have the teams built, they build like a synergy meter, and then they can pull off like combos together. If you play with them a lot for a long time, you can find new combos that they play off. And I kind of wonder if something like that, if you have the same squad people in a team together, the classes actually build up the meters together, and then you'll be able to do like combo attacks with like a button press or something instead of having to do this and then that. Do the attack with one person and attack with another person. You can just do one combo attack and maybe save the action points. Use one action point instead of two. So that's probably the one thing I'm probably most curious about. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully get some more information on it soon. And I'll try to cover it here when they drop more information. So subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Oh, let me know if you're excited about this or not in the comments. If you play any tactical games, let me know, and I'll see you guys later.